Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Brian Altano, and this is Andrew Goldfarb. And we're here live at an art-themed jungle lounge at New York Comic Con, where we bring you the hottest, latest news on the greatest game of all time. Not yet. No, YoKai Watch. That's why we're wearing these ridiculous hats. We went to play it this morning. YoKai Watch is going to be a huge thing. At least that's what they're hoping for, right?
Yeah, they're coming out. So it's like a lot of people pointed out there's no Pokemon this year, and Nintendo does have this game YoKai Watch, which has been big in Japan. They're bringing it here. They got toys.
Yep.
They've got an anime. They have Monopoly. They've
Junior
got,
Monopoly.
Yeah, Junior Monopoly.
Which we found out still has a jail. Weird thing.
And like
for
a sad man behind the bars too. It's like really weird for like children to see. But no, they have like this gigantic merchandise push, and it's super interesting because it's like they're really going hard into this. Like they're leaning very hard into the potential success of YoKai Watch. And I don't know, it's like weird because like we're not the target audience obviously, but like it is really charming. I think the game's, we haven't gotten to spend a lot of time with it. It's been lots of like pretty short demos. But what I've played, like I like it. It's very charming. The writing's actually pretty funny and witty.
Yeah.
And the battle system is very different. Like it doesn't feel like a Pokemon clone or anything at all. Like it definitely has like its own kind of like, there are all these like mini games you play to attack with each like different creature that's like in your party.
It feels somewhere in between a turn-based RPG and WarioWare, which I was kind of into.
Totally. Yeah.
I was, kind of surprised that I was enjoying it as much as I was. It was really fun to just sort of jump in and start running around this town. The art style is really cute and wonderful, and I completely understand how if you got into this, you'd be totally okay with being inundated by it.
Just all-consuming.
The area we were playing it in, it was just everywhere, and it's blanketing the room. And you're sitting there going like, if I was a kid or if I had kids, it would be a really hard thing to explain to people. They're sort of like, well, there's this kid and he lives in this town and he has to catch these spirits and they have coins and they become a watch and there's an old lady that slaps people.
When's the hard to explain part?
Right, totally, yeah. Totally sold on all of this. But I think you're right in that like they are making a big bet on this. Now this is something that's already big in Japan, but to bring it here, stateside, is going to be a big push. And it's kind of all or nothing. If this thing fails, which obviously we hope it doesn't because it looks like they're putting a lot of effort into it, it's going to fail across 15 different platforms.
Exactly.
But if it succeeds, I mean, you're going to see it everywhere for a very long time.
It's like it's that weird thing where it's impossible to predict, right? Like you can't force it. Either people love it or they don't. And it's like that interesting, like that Angry Birds, Skylanders feeling of like this is poised to become something really big, but will it? Like, it's like it's hard to tell how much of that is like that brute force marketing versus like, is this something that'll catch on? But honestly, like I think the quality is there. I think the game is super cute. I haven't gotten, like we've played that demo twice now. We played at E3 and then here, and like there's all these really cool like mechanics to it. I don't quite understand like the granular combat stuff. Like I don't have any like strategy to it. It feels a little bit like I'm just like kind of like mashing my way through it, playing the little kind of mini games.
I think some of the enemies we faced pretty early on were pretty simplistic. Although I did appreciate the sort of variety in them. There was a lot of cool different characters. The crux of it is basically you're running around this town, you have this meter that starts spinning red, and when it starts going like crazy, you pull out this radar. It's like this thing that lets you basically scan around, pinpoint exactly where the ghost, are they calling them that? Specters,
it's a yokai,
spirits?
Brian,
it's a yokai. They're on our heads. I feel like we have to address this eventually. We're wearing them right now. You find one of these spirits and then you battle him or her, and by doing that, this pulls up this wheel and it lets you sort of spin through and decide exactly who you want to use against what. Now there's sort of elemental properties to that, and each one of them falls into one of three mini games. You've got tapping, which is basically filling up this sphere with these bubbles as they fly by.
You got the spinning.
You get the spinning one, which is basically like, turning a crank, and then there was the other one, which was tracing shapes.
And that one reminded me almost of there's that old Ninja Gaiden DS game where you play it sideways. And it sort of reminded me of
Dragon
that, 'cause, like,
Sword.
you're drawing, and you're drawing like shapes to coincide. This felt like a much more simplified version of that.
So I think in the future you'll be able to, or later on in the game, you'll probably have to pinpoint certain elements against certain enemies. But we didn't really get that far. We were able to sort of just get through everything just by throwing everything that we had at them.
Yep. And I don't know. I'm excited. Like I honestly like I came away from this liking it more than I think I expected to.
Yep. It's out in early November. We're excited for it. We're wearing the hats already. We're all in. I don't know if I'm going to get into the Monopoly and the iPad game or the animated series, but the game alone is definitely enough to get me in there. And that always opens up the doors to end up with more toys on my desk.
Yeah, there's a
tattoos.
Cute, just filled with YoKai Watch tattoos. There's name your son YoKai and your second son Watch. There's a
don't go that far.
There's a cat in a business suit toy, which I think might be my favorite.
Yeah, that's a good job to have if you're a cat.
It's a high bar.
A businessman. Well, I'm Brian, this is Andrew. We're gonna be here all weekend long at New York Comic Con checking out wonderful games. I can't promise you that the rest of the videos we'll be doing here will involve thematic hats, but this one does. So share it with your friends and come back to IGN for even more Comic Con stuff and cats.